Are you listening? I've been saying this in several of my videos, and I really hope you're hearing me. The real estate market is not what it was 2 years ago. I've been having conversations with my clients and prospective sellers lately, and I don't want to be a negative Nelly, but you can't just list a house and expect that it'll sell quickly for more than any other comparable sale in your area. Buyers are being much more selective. Now, look, I'm sorry if I seem a little grumpy, but I've hosted open home houses both Saturday and Sunday, and I only had one visitor at each house. Now, I'm happy that both buyers seem serious, but regardless, my point is the market is slow. I don't want to call this the great slowdown, but there's a slowness in the market. Things aren't moving as quickly as they have in the past, and it's a trend that we've really been seeing over the last 3 years. So if you're trying to sell your home, it's annoying. It's even, as you can tell, frustrating. The challenge is, what can you do to rejuvenate buyer demand? It's a very frustrating time if you're trying to move your house quick. Look, we're in a data-driven economy, and the housing market is very reactive to changes in the data. So let's get through some of this data, maybe it's data, to help explain what I'm sharing with you here in this video and what sellers are experiencing right now in this market. All right, so I'm saying it again, it's slow out there. So some of you are like, Larry, what are you talking about? Well, I'm talking about the real estate slowdown for the last 3 years. At the end of 2023 and the end of 2024, and now towards the middle of 2025. Mortgage rates have increased, and that's not good. Okay, it sucks for real estate. Buyers hear about increasing interest rates and they get nervous and they start having flashbacks to the 2008-2009 market crash. Late last year, we were waiting to see how the market was going to respond to whoever became the president. Then after the election, we were waiting to see what would happen and what changed after the inauguration. There was a great deal of uncertainty. And then right after the inauguration here in Southern California, we had horrendous wildfires. So now not only are buyers concerned about interest rates, but we have what I'm calling an insurance crisis. Not only are people worried about being able to get insurance, but also how the premium is going to affect their monthly payments. Now, let me start with the mortgage rates. In my experience, when mortgage rates start to rise, buyer demand degrades. Let me put this slide on the screen. So this is what mortgage rates are doing right now. So I'm just going to go through this really quickly. Beginning in January, rates were right around 7%. And we've seen some improvement since then. And at the time I'm filming this in mid-May of 2025, rates right now are around 6.8% for a 30-year fixed rate. Now, 6.8%, which historically isn't terrible, but just 3 years ago, we loved our 3% mortgage rates. And right now, we're a little more than double that. A lot of people watch the Fed funds rate, but there's a lot of things that actually affect mortgage rates. And we watch the 10-year Treasury bond closer than the Fed rate, but what I'm saying is just make sure you know Fed rate and mortgage rates are two totally different things. And these rates are not directly dependent. Mortgage rates are not directly dependent on the Fed funds rate. All right, with that said, I'm optimistic that rates are going to pull back down again, and hopefully buyers are going to jump in. But as you can see from this graph, the last stinking few weeks that the mortgage rates have actually jumped up again. And that's going to quell buyer demand. So if you're like me, sitting in an open house, wondering, where is everybody? What's going on? I can pretty much guarantee you that this is one of the major contributors. All right, let's look at this slide. What this shows you is what mortgage rates did in the last 3 years. And as you can see, in November of 2023, rates got as high as 8%. It really shocked the market, and so much so that buyers just disappeared and inventory started increasing because nobody, all right, maybe that's a bit dramatic, but a lot of buyers stayed away from the market and they weren't purchasing homes at that time. And those who were purchasing at that time were negotiating hard. More than likely, prices really had to reflect and come down for those people to consider the purchase. So let's fast forward to today. Rates are starting to spike again. You know, we're shocking the market again. So here we are in the middle of May, and what's happening? Inventory is going up, and buyer demand is significantly pulling back. So if you're trying to sell your home and you're wondering, where is everybody? Well, there's a lot going on. But in my opinion, mortgage rates are probably the number one reason for the slowness in the market right now. And I know we're all hoping that rates come down sooner than later. Here's another slide. I'll put it on the screen for you. This is my Los Angeles County's active inventory. And what I'm seeing, what you're looking at, is that light blue line. It shows you the inventory for the last 4 months. So you can see we're at the highest level since 2022. And the number of closed sales are not as high as they used to be. So what this means is that homes are sitting on the market longer, and that's why we're seeing an increase in inventory. Now, if you look at the green line, that's 2024, and you'll notice that in 2025, we are substantially higher than the previous couple of years. In fact, we're 17% higher in inventory than we were just a few months ago in January. That's a significant number. So if you're wondering why the market is feeling sluggish, it's because mortgage rates are having their impact. Uncertainty about a lot of other contributing factors. Right here in Southern California, insurance rates are a lot of uncertainty. And in other regions, we have hurricanes and fires. There's a lot of things that are giving consumers some concern about jumping in the market right now. So the factors related to the slowdown is more buyers are concerned. They have more choices. Sellers are very reluctant to adjust to the market and negotiate a lower price. So it's a very slow market. Remember the good old days where we would have double-digit appreciation on our homes year over year? Those were the golden years. Bye-bye. Look at this map of the United States. The darker the state, the higher appreciation, and the lighter the state, the lower appreciation. You can see we do not have any double-digit appreciation right now. Now, as I share this, please don't shoot the messenger, but realize that there's a trend. Appreciation is starting to pull back, or we're not getting that double-digit appreciation. So for you out there that are like, I'm going to push my house and get the highest price in the neighborhood, and you keep reaching for the moon, just realize there's a transition happening right now, which means a slower market. We're not pulling hundreds of thousands of dollars over the last comp, most recent sale. And if you're going to sell your house in this marketplace, you need to understand the data. And you need to understand how the market responds to this data. I can tell you right now, I'm living it every day. It's much different than it was just last year. I really hope you're getting some value out of this information. And if you're learning anything or getting any value, please subscribe to my channel. My goal is to help as many people as I can through my videos. And so your subscription can really help me reach more folks. I get all the data I'm sharing from several sources, including Altos and Keeping Current Matters. But if you want to find out and see the reports for your own city and your metro area, please just drop me a message, shoot me a text, or give me a call, and I can share a link where you can access your neighborhood data. If you're considering putting your house on the market here in this market, and you're wondering what should you do to sell your house quickly, and you need to liquidate it in a sluggish market, well, you probably know what I'm going to say. And honestly, you'll hate what I'm going to say, but you need to drop your price. Not $5,000 or $10,000. We're talking about a substantial price reduction to attract buyer attention. Hey, when buyers are nervous, the only way to attract them is to limit their risk. And the way you limit their risk is by reducing your price below market value. That way they feel the market, if the market corrects, or if there's, any more hiccups in the market, they're going to have a little more comfort or a way to limit their risk. I'm sorry, I know it's hard to hear, but right now your home has to be the best one on the block, and it has to be priced right. I'm hopeful we're going to see the rates dropping in the coming months, and you may have a higher probability of success if you just wait out the rates. But remember, there are no guarantees. No guarantees. Who knows? 3 months, 6 months, you never know. Rates may improve, or the market could be worse than it is now. I think what it comes down to is you've got to maximize your thoughts, right? Where do we think the market's going to be in 3 to 6 months? I don't know, but I can tell you in the last 3 years, the same thing happened. In a year when it wasn't fun, as soon as the spring started, rates came down a little bit and the market picked up. You just never know. Now, another option is for you to take your house off the market. Buyers right now are looking at that days on market number. The longer the house is on the market, the higher the buyer's perception that they think the sellers are going to be more negotiable. And well, oftentimes they are. So the conversations I'm having with some of my sellers who have the ability is I'm telling them, hey, listen, if your property's not under contract in 90 days, maybe we need to take your house off the market, refresh, repackage it, wait for 90 days, and then remarket it. Larry, why take it off for 90 days? What's with the 90 days? The reason why 90 days is important is because that's when the MLS resets the days on market. So what I tell my sellers is we put your house back on the market in 91 days. Now, that can be another option for some of you if you have that, if you're hedging your bets a little bit and gambling that hopefully in 90 days it's a better mark. Remember, no one knows, but I'm having those conversations with some of my clients right now. I've got a few properties listed right now where they're the only house on the market in the entire neighborhood. And in that situation, I say, hey, let's just hold tight. Let's wait for somebody that's got to, be moved into the area or who just sold their home and they really need a place to go. And if your property is the only option, you're a good option. In fact, to be honest, you're the best option, and you could be in a better negotiating position for being the only one in your neighborhood on the market. I think where it becomes a little concerning is when you have 5 or 10 homes on the market, in the same neighborhood, and that might be one of those situations where, you would want to talk to your trusted real estate agent, your trusted advisor, to ask them, hey, is it time to take my house off the market? And maybe wait a few months and try it when the market improves. But you really, really, really need to make sure that you hire the best agent you can find. And if you're thinking of putting your house on the market this summer, now is the time to find that agent. You should be talking and working with them and having a strategy on how to get your house on the market at the beginning of the summer. And if you don't have an agent to, interview, please reach out to me. I've got realtors across North America, and I'd be happy to refer one of them to you. So if that's an item of interest to you, please just let me know. Drop me a comment, text, call, just let me know. I'll be sure to get you some folks in the area that you're looking. Okay, so here's my prediction for the remainder of 2025. I think we're going to see lower rates. I think our inventory will continue to be a little higher than it was in 2024, which means that you sellers out there have more competition. So you've got to make your house shine. It has to be better than your neighbors. And just be aware, it's going to take a little longer to get your house under contract. Now, if your house is on the market, remember, it feels like a lifetime when you're selling your home. Every day, you remember everything that's going on every minute because it's super uncomfortable. You have to have your house all together in showing shape all the time. So in my opinion, you have got to mentally prepare, and you need to be interviewing agents to help you get your house ready for sale. Start decluttering. If you start doing that right now, it's going to help you with your stress levels. I believe we're going to see a healthy finish to this year. I just don't think we're going to see double-digit appreciation. And I think that the rates are going to come down. Now, I don't think we're going to see them come down to 3% anytime soon. I would love to be wrong, but I really don't think we're going to get that back there for a long time, if ever. I hope this has been helpful, and thanks so much for watching. Please, give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and if there's any real estate related topic you'd like to hear about, please leave me a comment. Thanks for your support, and remember, for all things real estate, sell or buy, Larry's your guy.